At the beginning of the story, we meet a Russian boy named Seryozha. He lives with his mother and brother, Peter, in a remote village in Russia. We see his mother and Peter fishing, while Seryozha sits in a tree by the lake. From there, he repeatedly calls out to his mother. His mother tells him to be quiet because his shouting is making it difficult for them to catch fish. Suddenly, Seryozha sees a German plane flying overhead. World War II is underway, and Germany is attacking Russia. A German plane is circling overhead. Seryozha's mother quickly takes his brother Peter and hides, telling Seryozha to hide too, because if the Germans saw them, they would be killed. But Seryozha is not afraid. He picks up his slingshot and throws a stone at the plane flying overhead. The stone hits the plane, causing it to crash.
What?
But then we learn that it was all just a dream. Seryozha is having this dream while sleeping in his bed at home. Suddenly, in a state of panic, Aunt Anisa, his neighbor, comes into his house. Seryozha asks where his mother and Peter are. Anisa tells him that they have gone far away and will never return. But little Seryozha still wants to go to his mother. Then Anisa is forced to tell him the truth. His mother and brother have been killed by the Germans. If the Germans find him, they will kill him too. That's why Anisa wants to take him home. But the Germans have come very close to his house. Leaving him no other way, Anisa pushes him out through the bushes behind. Seryozha starts running for his life. After running for some time, he reaches a safe distance. Then, looking back, he sees the entire village ablaze. The Germans had burned down the entire village, including his house. In an instant, little Seryozha feels like he's lost, yet he runs inside the forest calling for his mother, but he doesn't know that his mother will never return. Searching for her, he gets lost inside the forest, and thus he spends a night inside. The next morning, when Seryozha wakes up, he wants a drink of water. Then, he sees some German soldiers approaching, and in fear, he hides behind a tree. Now, his young mind has understood that if they find him, they will kill him. So he remains hidden behind the tree until the Germans leave. But then another grave danger confronts him. A poisonous snake slowly moves toward him from nearby. The sight frightens him deeply, but he makes no sound. When the Germans finally leave, he quickly climbs down from the tree. Thus, despite coming so close to death, he escapes. Climbing down, he picks up a piece of food thrown by the Germans. He hadn't eaten anything since the previous night, so he satisfies his hunger with that piece. He then begins walking back inside the forest. The mud and slush inside the forest prove extremely difficult. Suddenly, loud explosions erupt from behind. The Germans were firing from a tank very close to the forest. Tank shells were falling all around him. Seryozha thought someone was after him, so he took a stick and tried to scare them off. The firing stopped for a while, and Seryozha went inside the forest to sleep. A short while later, a Russian soldier passed by the same house. Fortunately, they saw Seryozha lying on the ground, picked him up, and carried him away. They then brought him to their camp. He still had several minor wounds on his body. The commander of the troops was deeply saddened to see such a young child in the horrific conditions of war. The commander immediately ordered his soldiers to take care of Seryozha. Then he himself became acquainted with Seryozha. When he asked his name, Seryozha told him. The commander then introduced himself as Nicholas Sergei. He asked Seryozha where his family was now. Seryozha broke down in tears, mentioning his mother and brother. The commander encouraged him and tried to calm his crying. Afterward, everyone arranged to feed the hungry Seryozha. He was then taken to a hospital, where a nurse named Katia cared for him. Through their conversations, they developed a very strong bond. From Katia, Seryozha learned that the commander was a war hero. He had received a badge and a special pistol for his bravery. This awakened in Seryozha the desire to become a commander himself when he grew up. Meanwhile, the commander and his soldiers were sitting outside the camp, chatting. Suddenly, the Germans attacked them. Under the commander's leadership, the Russian soldiers fought them off. After a brief skirmish, the Germans retreated. Several Russian soldiers were wounded in the battle and were immediately taken to the hospital. The commander was also injured in the attack. After receiving treatment at the hospital, he visited Seryozha. During their conversation, Seryozha wanted to see the special pistol. The commander showed him the pistol, and holding it in his hand, Seryozha felt a new sense of determination. His desire to become a soldier grew stronger. The commander spent some time talking with him and keeping him company. Then he left to return to his duty. As he emerged from the hospital, Katia appeared before him. Katia requested that Seryozha be allowed to stay with them, as she and the others had formed a bond. No one wanted to leave him alone. Meanwhile, the commander considered sending Seryozha to an orphanage, as none of his family members were alive. Furthermore, keeping him in a camp during the war was extremely dangerous. Therefore, the commander believed the orphanage would be the safest place for him. But Katia insisted that she could take care of Seryozha. Nevertheless, the commander remained firm in his decision, citing safety concerns. This left Katia deeply saddened. She told a friend that she would never forget Seryozha. Seryozha had developed a strong friendship not only with Katia, but also with the other soldiers. One of the soldiers gifted him binoculars. Another, like Katia, told the commander that he should reconsider the matter, as all the soldiers in the camp had left their wives and children at home, and Seryozha had now become like a child to them. If he were sent away, the soldiers' morale could plummet. Hearing this, the commander understood the true true situation. Therefore, the decision to send Seryozha away was difficult for him as well. However, given the war situation, it was unsafe to keep him in the camp, as it was uncertain from which direction the Germans would attack, and a surprise attack was imminent. That day, the commander, along with his troops, faced a German attack. Despite being outnumbered in strength and weapons, his soldiers bravely counterattacked under his leadership. The Germans were not easily routed. In this battle, as in the previous one, many were injured or killed. Immediately after the attack, the commander realized that it would be inappropriate to keep Seryozha there, so he quickly wrote a letter to send him to the orphanage. The next day, people came to take Seryozha away. The commander went to tell him this, but was unable to speak because he had developed a deep affection for Seryozha. Finally, he gave him a toy pistol, and then proposed sending him to the orphanage. But Seryozha told the commander that he had been waiting for him. He had been praying repeatedly for the commander's safety on the battlefield. Hearing this, the commander became very emotional. He asked him, "Will you be my son?" Seryozha immediately said yes. Then the commander tore up the orphanage letter and sent the people back. Everyone was overjoyed by the commander's decision. They all made a uniform for Seryozha using their clothes and shoes. From now on, he would be treated as their fellow soldier and would be named Soldier Boy. Then the commander himself met Seryozha and gave him the uniform. Wearing the uniform, Seryozha felt like a soldier and was overjoyed. He showed everyone his new uniform, and the soldiers were delighted. But suddenly the Germans attacked again. This time the attack was even more severe than before. They dropped numerous bombs everywhere, killing and injuring many soldiers. In this situation, Seryozha began to search for Katia and the commander. He asked everyone about them, but everyone was busy caring for the wounded soldiers, so no one could answer him properly. Then a little fear crept into Seryozha, wondering if the commander had been killed in the war. Just then a doctor called him and said, "You are a soldier now, so never fear death. And if you want to help everyone, go to the wounded." Hearing this, Seryozha went inside the hospital and started giving water to the injured. Meanwhile, a soldier asked him to read a letter. Seryozha was only 6 years old and couldn't read properly, but to cheer up the soldier, he recited the letter from his imagination. Seryozha said, "Your family always prays for you." He also said that their cow was now producing more milk. But this was all just a figment of his imagination. All the soldiers sleeping nearby understood this. This spread joy and laughter among everyone. All the soldiers now let him read the letters and laughed at his words. In this way, Seryozha helped the wounded soldiers forget their pain, even for a short while. He then sang them a song. In the next scene, we see Seryozha sleeping in Katia's lap. At this moment, the commander wanted to say something to Katia, but the words didn't come out clearly. In reality, the commander had long liked her, but his throat would tremble every time he spoke. This time too, he was unable to speak. Meanwhile, Seryozha woke up. Then, without revealing his true intentions, the commander told Katia to go to the hospital to perform her duties. Katia's duty time had already arrived, so she left Seryozha with the commander and went to work. It was here that we saw Seryozha start calling him Papa. Thus, a father-son bond developed between them. The commander then returned to his place and resumed his duties. Meanwhile, Seryozha retrieved a small knife from somewhere and began using it like a grown man. Seeing this, the other soldiers burst into laughter. After cooking, Seryozha went to the commander and began reporting like a soldier. He also asked if he had a mission. The commander then said, "I have an important mission for you. A letter will arrive at the camp shortly with several letters, and your job will be to deliver them to everyone." Seryozha was overjoyed to receive this mission. Meanwhile, a cut appeared on his cheek. When asked why, Seryozha said it happened while shaving. But in reality, he applied the bandage to imitate the commander, who also suffered a slight cut while shaving. Shortly after, a soldier arrived at the camp with letters. Seryozha took them and began distributing them among the soldiers. In this way, by delivering letters to everyone, he completed his mission with full responsibility. Despite his young age, his mind was now fully imbued with military discipline. This showed how wartime conditions could affect a young child. After distributing the letters, Seryozha took his binoculars and started looking around. Suddenly, he saw a patch of hay not far from the camp. He looked closer and saw a foot gently moving in the grass. It seemed someone was hiding in the grass. Seryozha quickly went back to the camp and told everyone about it. At first, everyone thought he was making it up, but Seryozha insisted that what he saw was true. The soldiers then paid attention and went to investigate the patch of hay. Seryozha guided 3 soldiers, Andrei, Jera, and Vanya. They all approached the patch of hay quietly and cautiously. Andrei led the way with Jera, and Vanya covered them from behind. Then they started creating smoke by burning dry grass near a haystack. Unable to bear the smoke, a soldier emerged from the hay. The Russian soldiers were shocked to discover that he was a German spy and immediately arrested him. Thus, thanks to Seryozha's bravery, they escaped the German plot. This news spread throughout the camp, and Seryozha became a war hero to everyone there. The commander was also very proud of what he had witnessed. Meanwhile, Seryozha had no idea. He continued to work as a soldier, delivering letters. After finishing his duty, he went to report to the commander. The commander gave him some good news. He said that he had approached the Russian government with a request to accept Seryoja as his legal child, and the government had approved it. This meant that the commander was now officially Seryoja's father. Seryoja was overjoyed to hear this. Then he said that he should tell Katya too because he liked the commander very much. The commander was a little embarrassed, but Seryoja forcibly took him to Katya. Katya was sitting by a pond near the camp. When the commander went to see her, another soldier arrived. He also liked Katya and had come there to propose to her. Seeing this, the commander thought that perhaps Katya liked him, so he quietly left. But the commander did not know that Katya actually liked him. Another day passed in the camp. The next day, the Germans attacked them again. This time, Seryoja took direct part in the fighting. He actually walked through the fire and delivered emos to the soldiers. Imagine how courageous a small child could be to do such a thing. Even the older soldiers were shocked by his bravery, but their concern was for Seryoja's safety, so they told him to return to the commander. Meanwhile, the commander was trying to contact other camps by telephone. Many of his soldiers had been killed by this point, and urgent reinforcements were needed. However, German bombing had disrupted their entire communication system. Lines were cut in several places, and even the commander's telephone was out of order. The commander ordered a soldier to go repair the telephone line. However, at the same time, heavy German fire and bombing were unleashed. As the soldier climbed a bunker, he was shot and unable to repair it. Meanwhile, Seryoja followed him and climbed up the bunker. He then fell into a nearby pit, where a wounded soldier was lying. When the soldier saw him, he told him to quickly return to the bunker. But Seryoja requested him to teach him how to repair the telephone line. The soldier showed him a broken wire and explained how to reconnect it. Seryoja, following his instructions, went to the line and repaired it by connecting the two wires. Imagine a 6-year-old child displaying such heroism. It was truly amazing. Thanks to Seryoja's bravery, the telephone line was restored, and the commander managed to secure reinforcements and hold off the Germans for the time being. Ultimately, this attack temporarily halted the fighting between the two sides. The next day, Seryoja suddenly visited Katya and told her that his father, the commander, was very ill. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't. He was unable to eat anything. Hearing this, Katya ran to him. But upon arriving, she found the commander completely healthy. This meant that Seryoja had tricked her. In reality, Seryoja wanted a bond to form between Katya and the commander. He knew they both liked each other, but neither was able to express their feelings directly. So, he put them in a situation where they could share their feelings. But instead, both became a little embarrassed. Nevertheless, the commander, overcoming his shyness, tried to express his feelings to Katya. But by then, Katya had run away from the camp. The commander ran after her and stopped her. He then tried several times to express his feelings. Finally, he said, "You will become Seryoja's mother because now the commander is Seryoja's father, and if Katya becomes his mother, a relationship is established between them." Thus, the commander finally proposed and Katya accepted. Meanwhile, a letter arrived for the commander. It stated that they must leave the camp the next day and move elsewhere. In reality, all the camps under the command of a general were preparing for a major war with the Germans. During this time, Seryoja was at the other end of the camp. Some soldiers had brought a dog-drawn sled. Seeing this, Seryoja wanted to ride it. When the soldiers put him in the sled, the dog started running. Initially, Seryoja found it amusing, but suddenly the dog started running outside the camp, where several landmines were planted. The soldiers, seeing the dogs running, panicked. One of them quickly hopped on a bike and stopped them in time. Thus, Seryoja was saved from a major danger in no time. By evening that day, the commander marched everyone to the new camp. On the way, the Germans suddenly opened fire on them. Many soldiers died in this surprise attack, including some with whom Seryoja had a very good relationship. Seeing this, he became deeply saddened. But emotions could not remain for long on the battlefield, so the commander again took everyone and quickly moved towards the new destination. Finally, on foot, they reached the new army camp. Upon reaching the camp, the general welcomed them, and Seryoja also got acquainted with them. The general was surprised to hear Seryoja's recounting of past events. Seryoja then demanded to know the commander's new mission. The commander instructed him to check the distance and gaps between all the soldiers. Seryoja complied and lined up the soldiers. He noted the names of those who had gaps or shortages. He then went straight to the general and submitted this report. The general was very impressed with his work and considered rewarding him. Seryoja also obtained permission from him for the commander and Katya's wedding. Within a few hours, he developed very good friendships with all the soldiers in the new camp. Seryoja now spent time with them, playing games and having fun. The next day, the general awarded a badge to the entire battalion, as it had suffered multiple defeats in Germany, and Seryoja had been an important companion in this campaign. This meant that Seryoja had officially become a war hero. However, the battalion's joy was short-lived, as the Germans launched a massive attack that very night, the largest such attack to date. Many in his regiment were injured and killed. Even the commander was trapped under his cabin, completely destroyed by the impact of the bomb. Seryoja, alone, desperately tried to rescue him. Finally, he sought help from nearby soldiers. With their help, they all rescued him. After a night-long battle, the commander was hospitalized the next day. Seryoza visited the hospital to see the wounded commander. Seeing him in such a state brought him to tears. But the commander told him not to cry because good men never cry. After a few days in the hospital, the commander gradually recovered. At the end of the movie, we see Seryoza participating in several more battles with the commander, each of which they bravely won. Finally, when the war ended, Seryoza became popular throughout Russia as Soldier Boy. He then spent the rest of his life with the commander and his family. Thus, the movie ends. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing movie explanations. Comment below your favorite part of the movie and share your thoughts with us.